The first thing that hit the air wasn't the sound of a car or voices or even footsteps. It was a crack, sharp and mean, like someone had just snapped the world in half. I didn't see it coming. 1 second, 14-year-old Jordan Price was cruising down Parkview Avenue, wind in his face, brand new bike gleaming under the late afternoon sun. The next, a flash of metal, a fist wrapped in steel, and his head whipped sideways like a rag doll. The pavement came up hard. His cheeks smacked concrete, and for a split second, the world went white. The bike, sleek black, a gift from his dad after months of saving, clattered beside him, front wheel spinning, until it slowed to a dead stop. And in that strange, heavy silence that follows violence, people froze. A jogger halfway through a stride, a woman dropping her grocery bag, a delivery guy's steam still rising from the takeout in his hand, all staring, none moving. Across the street, Officer Brent Calloway stood rigid, chest heaving, a pair of steel knuckles glinting in his hand. His uniform was pressed crisp, badge polished, but in that moment, it looked like a costume, something pretending to stand for service when all it stood for was power. Jordan groaned, tried to push himself up, blood warmed down his temple. He wasn't scared yet, just confused. What did I do? His eyes seemed to ask. Stay down! Calloway barked, voice so sharp it cut the air. Jordan flinched but didn't move because he hadn't done anything to move for. 3 minutes earlier, Jordan had been pedaling through a neighborhood where the lawns were too perfect and the streets too quiet. His dad had given him rules: stay in the main streets, wear your helmet, be polite. He'd followed every single one, but none of that mattered when Calloway stepped off the curb. Calloway had 27 years on the force, a file thick with commendations and just enough complaints to make people whisper but never act. He didn't wear a body cam, said it got in the way. And when he saw a black kid on a bike worth more than his monthly paycheck, something inside him flared. Where'd you get the bike, kid? My dad bought it for me. That right, looks like $1,000 frame. What's your daddy do? Jordan hesitated. He works in law enforcement. Calloway smirked, the kind that's less amusement and more warning. What mall security? No, sir. He's a federal agent. That was it. The calm in Jordan's voice didn't settle Calloway. It made him madder. He stepped in close enough that Jordan could smell cigarettes on his breath. You think you own this street, Didn't do anything, Jordan said, hands still on his handlebars. You're resisting. No, I'm not. And that's when the steel came up fast and final. What Calloway didn't notice was the man sitting at the bus stop 30 feet away. Marcus Hale, Army vet, 3 tours overseas, now sleeping under an overpass, pulled out a beat-up phone held together with duct tape. He hit record, not for clicks, not for glory, just because he knew what happens when nobody does. Minutes later, Jordan was cuffed, shoved into the back of a cruiser, lip split, one eye swelling shut. And in that holding cell, with the hum of a flickering fluorescent light over his head, he made the call. Dad, it's me. They hit me. Said I stole my own bike. On the other end of the line, Special Agent Devin Price didn't yell. He didn't panic. Don't talk to anyone else, he said. I'm on my way. Devin had spent 15 years in the FBI's Civil Rights Division, digging through cases of excessive force and cover-ups. He'd read reports, listened to mothers cry, stood in courtrooms, but nothing prepared him for hearing that break in his own son's voice. When he walked into the precinct, the air shifted. The desk sergeant barely looked up until Devin slid something heavy onto the counter. That gold badge. Federal, Supervisory Special Agent. The kind of badge that made people straighten their posture without knowing why. Where's my son? There's a report being filed now. And somewhere down the hall, Officer Calloway was writing that report, spinning a story about a combative suspect who reached for his weapon. No mention of steel knuckles. No mention of the kid's age. But there was Torres. Officer Elena Torres, 6 months on the bar side, still sharp enough to notice things didn't add up. She'd seen Jordan in holding. She'd handed him water. She'd noticed the way he moved, like his ribs hurt. And when she pulled up the equipment log, she found Calloway's signature on the waiver declining a body cam that morning. Meanwhile, Marcus's video hit the internet. Hashtag Justice for Jordan started trending before dinner. The clip showed everything: Jordan's stillness, Calloway's lunge, the glint of metal, the blow. By the time Devin was in the captain's office, phones were ringing from the mayor's office to CNN. This video has been viewed 500,000 times in 2 hours, Devin said, sliding his phone across the desk. Your officer assaulted a minor with an illegal weapon and then lied about it. The captain paled. The deeper Torres dug, the uglier it got. 2 other officers had accessed Calloway's cruiser right after the arrest, one on duty when not even scheduled that day. Then an unmarked envelope showed up at the local news station. Inside, the brass knuckles still stained red, and a typed note. I was wrong, but I'm not the only one. That was all Devin needed, with Torres feeding him logs and Marcus's footage playing on every major network he pushed at federal. The case moved fast. The courtroom was full the day it started, neighbors, students, reporters. Jordan sat in the front row in an ill-fitting suit next to his dad. Torres was there too, no badge, no gun, just solidarity. Across the aisle, Calloway sat in a suit that couldn't hide the arrogance in his eyes. The prosecution played Marcus's video on a screen the size of a wall. The room gasped when the punch landed. The brass knuckles were bagged and tagged. Torres testified about the missing body cam and cruiser footage. The defense called it instinct, said Calloway felt threatened. Then Jordan took the stand. I was riding my bike, he said. First time I took it past my block. I stopped when he called me. I answered his questions. I told him who my dad was. I didn't run. I didn't yell. I didn't resist. I was breathing, and to him, that was enough to make me dangerous. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on assault, falsifying a report, obstruction, no bail. Outside, the crowd roared, but Jordan didn't smile. He just looked up at his dad and asked, did we win? Devin's answer was quiet, no. But they saw, and that's how it starts. In the months that followed, things did start. Torres transferred to a new oversight unit. Marcus began speaking at schools about knowing your rights. And Jordan, he found his voice. He joined the city's youth advisory board, pushed for a law requiring all body cam footage to be public within 72 hours of a use of force incident. 1 year later, he stood on the stage at Lincoln Park, the place he never reached that day. Hundreds filled the grass signs, waving in the summer heat. I was just trying to get to this park, he began, and I got stopped for looking like someone dangerous. Justice doesn't start in a courtroom. It starts when people refuse to be silent. The man at the bus stop, the girl with the phone, my dad who didn't let them bury the truth. That's what carries us forward. Somewhere near the edge of the crowd, a girl, maybe 11, pulled a phone from her hoodie and started recording. Not because anyone told her to, but because she knew now the truth doesn't survive on its own. You have to hold it up even when your hands shake. So here's my question for you. If you saw what Marcus saw that day, would you hit record, or would you walk on by and let the silence win? Because that's where justice really lives, in the choice you make when nobody's looking.